This is a crazy time in the new car market because EVs are really changing the game. At the moment, we have a $60,000 Mercedes and a $60,000 Kia out there as new models available, and it might surprise you to hear where the pros and cons of each of those lie. But don't worry, CarGurus is here for you with all the data that you need to research your purchase, a healthy dose of opinion too, because let's face it, not everybody gets to test drive every new model, but that's our job. Please subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Today we're looking at the 2023 Kia EV6 GT. Now, the EV6 model was brand new last year. This trim is brand new for this year. It's joining Wind and GT line. It's sitting at the top of the lineup as the performance-oriented option. The EV6 GT is a really interesting package because I do think there are a lot of shoppers out there who tend to default to the top trim as the best option, and here Kia is really playing with what that means in a way that those folks might not be expecting. Luckily, Cliff did a great video on the EV6 as a model when it first came out, so today we can really dig in and focus on this brand new GT trim. Personally, I think that the EV6 is really good looking, even better looking than its cousins, the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and the Genesis GV60. This trim, GT, actually debuted at Monterey Car Week and did not look out of place there. Now, we cannot miss that this is the GT trim, partly because we have the 21-inch alloy wheels compared to the 19-inch that are standard and the 20-inch that come on the GT line. But what really jumps out at you here? It's the brake calipers, right? That color comes on every single EV6 GT. It's called neon green, which is just a tiny bit ironic because neon is a gas, and you know, this is an electric car. I do love this color, but since we're stuck with the neon green brake calipers, I personally would have chosen something different. I like to call this combo the Pull Me Over package. Now, there are only 4 options for exterior colors on the GT trim. You can get this one, which is called Runway Red, or you can get Yacht Blue for no extra charge. You can pay $495 for Aurora Black Pearl, or you can pay $695 for Steel Matte Gray. Options are limited inside the GT trim as well. There's really just the one choice for seating, which actually makes choice maybe not quite the right word. It's these sport bucket seats with the black suede and the neon green trim. So I am really curious to see how this is going to play with those folks who get the top trim by default. They might be expecting comfort and they might be disappointed with this because these are only manually adjustable for one thing. They only go back and forth, up and down, or you can recline. But if you want 8-way power adjustable, you're going to have to go for the Wind or the GT line, the bottom and the middle trim. Now, if it's cool you're looking for, this is definitely the way to go because everything in here just screams performance. We've got the flat bottom steering wheel, we have green stitching on it, all these graphics on the dash. Some of this is also included on the GT line trim, but that does not get the sport bucket seats or the green trim. The GT trim comes with the same 77.4 kilowatt-hour battery that powers the Wind and GT line, but this makes a lot more power, 576 horsepower, so more than double what you're getting in those lower trims, and 545 pound-feet of torque. Now, some of that is because of the larger electric motor in the GT trim. That's largely because of the GT's electric motor output, which is 430 kilowatts. The GT line and the base Wind come with a 168 kilowatt electric motor or the option to upgrade to 239. This one has a top speed of 131 miles per hour and it'll do 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds. That puts it up there with the Performance Edition of the Mustang Mach-E GT, the Porsche Taycan 4S, and the BMW i4 M50. We're truly living in a brave new world. Now, rear-wheel drive is standard on the Wind trim, but the GT comes with all-wheel drive. And just like fuel economy, electric range is going to suffer with things like all-wheel drive, bigger wheels, and all that power. So this one has an electric range of 206 miles. Compare that with 310 for the base Wind trim with rear-wheel drive. So here's a little math problem for you. Kia EV6 GT is delivered at 9:30 a.m. with 170 miles of range. Natalie takes it for a spin at 3:30 p.m. in 37-degree weather. When she gives up on traffic after 11 miles and returns home, what is its range? If you're up on your SAT math, you know the answer should be 159 miles, right? But in reality, this is a trick question, and the answer was actually 157 miles. 2 miles does not seem like a really big discrepancy unless it's going to be 2 miles for every 11 miles. In that case, this is a 37.5 mile margin, and for a lot of people, that's your morning commute. Now, some of this has to do with weather and the fact that 3:30 constitutes rush hour around Boston. But if you live somewhere with weather or with traffic, or if you have a lead foot, or frankly, if you're considering buying an EV, you're going to want to know about charging. So let's talk about the details. Kia tells us that the EV6 should be able to go from 0 to 80% of its battery charge in 18 minutes if you have access to a 350 kilowatt charger. For me, I'm using the slow chargers in my town center. It took me 5 hours and 26 minutes to add 103 miles of range, and I should not have really been parked there that long anyway. I've seen a lot of people on, the forums and the internet complaining about electric vehicles, calling them appliances, saying they're boring, saying they're soulless, blah, blah, blah. Now, I'm willing to bet a lot of these people have never driven an EV because let me tell you, you can peel out in a Kia Niro EV, and if you're not careful, you will make the tires chirp. Then again, some of those people are also probably just natural grumps. They're everywhere. So I'm here to tell you, you can have a lot of fun in this thing. You can actually scare yourself if you want to. Sport mode genuinely does get a little bit twitchy. It's just tail happy enough to really let you know you're alive. And then if you press this green button here on the steering wheel, put it in GT mode, that makes all 576 horsepower available to you. And then put it into eco mode, it's nice and sedate, you're ready to pick up the kids from school. It's really kind of perfect. You've got that split personality and you can access either one whenever you want. The GT also has a drift mode, which I hear is really fun. Unfortunately, I've not been able to test it because I don't have a way to do that responsibly. But if you subscribe and tell all your friends to subscribe too, maybe we can get our boss to get us some track time. In the meantime, let's talk about what I could test, the deceleration. Just kidding. It's actually really pretty cool in this car. So you have these flappy paddles on the steering wheel and you can use those to manage the regenerative braking. So if you turn it all the way down, it's basically like a normal car, or maybe even out the other side of normal, because in a gas-powered car, if you take your foot off of the accelerator, you almost immediately start to lose speed. But this thing will coast for a while. And then if you use the paddles to turn the regen all the way up, into iPedal mode, the max regeneration, that's one pedal driving where you really can just use your accelerator, take your foot off, come to a complete stop when you're ready to. You don't ever need the brake pedal. So this is actually kind of fun to play with in stop and go traffic. It's a lot like, when you're driving manual, you want to give yourself some space, so you're not constantly shifting. Give yourself a little room so that you're coasting at a low speed. You can actually use these to speed up and slow down and never touch either pedal. Pretty entertaining. The Kia EV6 is already very well equipped by design, so there's not a lot in terms of tech and safety that the GT has and the Wind and GT line do not. Between Cliff's 2022 Kia EV6 video and my recent 2023 Kia Telluride video, we've really dug into all of these features already, so I'm just going to hit the highlights here. We've got a 12.3-inch infotainment screen. It's got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM, Bluetooth, navigation, voice recognition, and a Wi-Fi hotspot. That's all standard. So is the 14-speaker Meridian sound system, wireless charging, 5 USB ports, and the vehicle-to-load capability, which lets you use your EV6 to power things like machinery or a hairdryer, or even to charge another EV. So really, the only technological convenience feature that's not standard on Wind, but that we do get in GT and GT line, is remote smart parking assist. And in terms of safety, there's only a handful of features that do come on those top two trims that are not standard with Wind, like surround view and blind spot view monitors, reverse parking collision avoidance, and then you get more advanced versions on GT and GT line of a few systems that are still found on Wind, like adaptive cruise control, evasive steering assist, lane change assist, and forward collision avoidance. So who's buying this thing? Because normally the performance-oriented trim is aimed at enthusiasts, but as we've already established, a lot of enthusiasts do still, at this moment in time, have an aversion to electric cars, or maybe we could call it a prejudice. Then again, I will say I've heard from a lot of people who are just never buying another gas-powered car again because they don't want to have to move to Mars any sooner than they have to, or have their kids have to move to Mars down the road. Surely some of those people are going to want a great-looking package that goes fast, right? So for their benefit, let's talk money. Because the light trim is now gone and Wind is the base, gotta say I love the whimsical trim names, the base price for the EV6 is up significantly for 2023. It's now $48,700, and just go ahead and add $3,900 if you want all-wheel drive. actually costs more to add all-wheel drive to the GT line. Now, the GT that we've seen today comes to $62,865 as tested. That does include Kia's famous 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty covering both powertrain and battery. It also includes the destination fee, and Kia throws in 5 years or 60,000 miles of roadside assistance. So in terms of pricing, competitors include the Hyundai Ioniq 5, the Ford Mustang Mach-E GT, the Tesla Model Y, and the Volkswagen ID.4. But if we're talking about speed, then competitors include the Ford Mustang Mach-E GT again, except the Performance Edition. And then we're in more rarefied air because the Porsche Taycan 4S and the BMW i4 M50, although they do have longer ranges, both have less horsepower and slower official 0 to 60 times. And let's just say neither of those models is for bargain shoppers. So what do you think when you look at this car? Is this the perfect combination of performance, practicality, and pricing? Or when you consider the Kia EV6 GT trim specifically, do you feel like you're looking at one of those mix and match books where you get the head of a pirate and the body of a lumberjack and the feet of a ballerina? Let us know in the comments either way. Head over to CarGurus.com to research all of your EV options to your heart's content. Please subscribe to this channel so we can get that track time, and check back soon because we'll be driving something else next week.